Like if your goal is to make, let's pretend, $250,000 a year, you should only take advice from people that either make that or make more, preferably people that make more, right?
What is the best way to make money in sports cards in this industry? And what strategies do you have to making money during those card shows?
Welcome to episode number 46 of the Eric Michael Show, where I talk about sports cards, business, life, answer a bunch of your guys' questions. If you look in the bottom there, you can call that phone number while I'm live right now, and I'll answer some of your questions. But anyways, let's start this thing off while we wait for some callers to come in. I want to vent about something, and I promise this relates back to sports cards. I was in Cabo, Mexico all weekend, and I've been single for 10 years. 10 years I've been single. And I finally got a girlfriend about 5 days, maybe a week ago. And she was telling me how she has all these single friends. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've lived in Tampa for a decent amount of time. And this is nothing against girls. I'm not trying to generalize or people that live in Tampa. But I could tell you from experiencing meeting a lot of these girls that just a lot of them are not like the best people. Okay. Not the best people. So, anyways, I go to Cabo, Mexico. Everything's fine, and she starts acting a little funny. And I know she's hanging out with her friends, right? So I'm like, oh, yep, that is the cause. She acts funny. I get back to America or to Florida, and I have this discussion with her. I'm like, what is good with you? Why are you acting like you are? And she openly admitted that her friends got in her head. And a lot of guys that listen to this, a lot of people that listen to this are men. So that's why I'm talking about this. Unless I'm crazy here, okay? And now we're fine. She's an amazing girl. Just a little blip of something that went wrong. But her friends told her this. And like, I'm still trying to rationalize how someone could think like this, okay? So I'm someone that's a little bit more traditional, right? I like a girl that cooks, cleans, takes care of herself, etc. And she does that for me. She's amazing. Great cook. Just amazing, incredible. And so her friends told her that because she does those things for me, I should be sending her money, like to go out with her friends or drink or eat or whatever. Like I like lost brain cells thinking about that. And it's not because I'm cheap. I'm actually, if anyone that knows me, I'm very generous, and I've been very fortunate in life in terms of money. I've been able to make a good amount of money, which is fantastic. So it's not a matter of the money. It's a matter of principle. And I said to her, I thought I had a great quote here. I said to her, uh, would you take math advice from your history teacher? Probably not, right? Like, I don't give tax advice because I'm not that great at taxes. I give sports cards advice because I'm successful and I've been successful with sports cards. I would never give someone relationship advice, even though I think I know what I'm doing, but I have no idea. I've been single for 10 years. I would never give someone relationship advice. So would you take relationship advice from your single friends? Probably not, right? If you've been in single for years and years, there's probably a reason. And the reason her friends are single is probably because they act like that, right? No guy with a backbone would just openly send her girlfriend money just for shits and giggles and for fun, right? But it brings up another conversation. And the point I'm trying to get to here with sports cards is the reason her friends were doing that, the actual reason, like the subconscious, like in there, actual reason. I can say this confidently because I have a bunch of female friends. The real reason is because females, a lot of people in general, but especially females, get jealous very easily because they were all single for a long time, and now she's wifed up by me. Her friends got jealous, and they try to drive a wedge between us. And unfortunately, a lot of people do this. So I said to her, like, you're a product of your environment. I even have it like tattooed, like right here. You could barely see the tattoo, but it says in there you're a product of your environment because you truly are. Like, I'm blessed in the sense where every single day, I'm around my business partner and our CMO. We all live together, and we're all growth-minded people, positive people, push each other very hard, and the results have spoke for themselves. Like, I'm not saying this to brag, but we're in the middle of buying an office, and doing some great things that I just never even imagined I would ever be able to accomplish. Like, I just wanted to make enough money, like through sports cards or online, so I didn't have to get a job. Like if I was like, if I'm able to do that, pay rent, live in a decent place, go out for food once in a while, I'm good. And I've been able to surpass that by a lot, and just I'm blessed. But it's been amazing. But one of the biggest reasons is because from the ages of 21 through 26, me and John, my business partner, you guys don't see him, but he owns 50% of the business. Like we pushed each other very hard in a good way, not like in some terrible way. And then Kavi, who's our CMO, came and started living with us once we started to really grow things. We needed someone to run all the marketing um, when I was 26, so about like a year ago. And so what the point I'm driving home here is that you truly are a product of your environment. Like, as even me, like I am like the same person wherever I go. Like I have a very hard head. Like I'm like, you know, pretty in my ways. But even me, I'm a product of my environment. If I'm hanging out with my friends from back home and they're doing degenerate stuff, I'm probably gonna do degenerate stuff. If I'm around, you know, business people, I'm probably going to talk about business, right? That's just how people work. So you truly have to be careful um, with who you hang around, because it's just so vital. And to give you like a sports card example, like, and I got lucky. So when I first started buying and selling sports cards, so I was 17 years old. I was delivering pizza at a place called AJ's Pizza in Butler, New Jersey, which is like he sold it now, but it was like the busiest pizza shop of all time. Like 17 delivery boys in and out on a Friday night, insane, like in and out, holding 2 or 3 bags at a time, like crazy. And actually, that was the only job. As funny as it sounds, that was the only job I ever enjoyed, delivering pizza, because I love the idea of like the freedom, because I could be in my car, like listening to a game, and then also on top of that, I love the um the randomness. Like you can get a $3 tip, a $7 tip, a $10 tip. I love to gamble. So I guess that's why. But anyways, I was delivering pizza. I saved up $4,000, and I got introduced to the idea of buying and selling sports cars through my friend named Dylan. So there's two high schools from my town. I'm from a town called Wayne, New Jersey. There's Wayne Valley, and then there's Wayne Hills. Wayne Hills is like the wealthier side of town. Wayne Valley is like lower middle class side of town. I went to the lower middle class side of town, but I heard about this kid from the other side of town who bought his own car, car, with $30,000 when we were 17. And I asked him, like, dude, how do you have $30,000? I got in touch with him because I had a friend that was friends with him. And he told me he was buying and selling sports cards. And I was like, no way. And he showed me, and I got hooked instantly. And I remember I took my $4,000, and I think I could pull it up actually, maybe on Google Images. This is the first card I ever bought. This was like in August of 2015. Let me look this up. It's even Matt's orange. Hold on, let me. Yeah, so this is it. This is actually the real card. This is the first card I ever purchased. This right here. This one. I bought this card for $500, not graded. And back in the day, Steven Matz was like a huge prospect. He was like supposed to be like Kershaw level, like great. He ended up getting hurt too much, and he was decent. But this is the first card I ever purchased, which you're looking at right here. I bought this card for $500, and I spent $20 to get it graded. I sold it on eBay. I forgot the exact sale price on eBay, what it was, but I think I ended up netting $888. I still remember it to this day. But before I bought my first sports card, I told my parents, and my parents are like from New York, your typical like skeptical of everything, negative people. I tell my parents they're negative because they watch the news every night, especially if you live in the New York area. The news is pretty brutal. Um, but so I told them I was going to start doing this, and they're like, "Save your money. Don't be an idiot. You're going to get scammed. You're just going to lose a bunch of money. Blah 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 blah." Right now, thankfully, because for whatever reason I have a hard head or I'm stubborn, whatever, or maybe I just wanted to do the opposite of what my parents wanted for me. I ended up buying my first sports card. It changed my life. And I ended up buying and selling sports cards through college. Got into digital marketing, and then lo and behold, 30, almost 40 employees later. So, but the point I'm trying to make, even though I love my parents to death and they wanted what was best for me, I didn't like I would because I wanted something in terms of finances more than what I had growing up. Why should I take financial advice from my parents? I probably shouldn't, right? And like a lot of you people watching this probably should not take financial advice from your uncle or your aunt or your mom or your wife. right? Like, that's the worst of it. Like, that is the worst. And I'm not married, so like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like, we'll have people. This is crazy. So like, obviously, we have a sales team, right? Like, you get interested in the program, you see our ad, you give us your information. We have a coach that calls you, has a nice conversation, see if this makes sense for you, right? And so many times, I've seen this happen time and time again, where men will say, "Yep, I have a job, career, I got good money, but I want to make an extra few $1,000s a month, pay for the mortgage, pay for the kids." And sports cards is a very viable way to do that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're going to be a millionaire because you're not, but making an extra 2, 3K a month is pretty realistic with sports cards. That's why if you ever see our ads or the way I talk, I always say, "Hey, keep your job. This is a nice little side income on top of your job." That's like our whole marketing shtick, right? And so many times, a husband will be like, "Yep, I'm in. Let's do it." And last second, his wife will not allow him to do it, not allow him to join our program or start buying and selling sports cards. And I ask myself, I'm like, number one, have a backbone. Jesus. And like number two, it's not like you're going to Vegas and going to party with strippers, right? You're doing something that one is like beneficial for yourself, and two, will benefit your wife. Like if you make $8,000 a month and you're able to make an extra 3K a month from sports cards, you're going to make your wife's life easier if you're able to cover the mortgage payment or whatever, right? Um, but the point I'm trying to make is like even your partner, that is your environment, and I believe choosing your partner is the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. So you are a product of your environment. So like it's just so important. And it sounds so corny, like all that stupid mindset stuff, right? I've read all the books and all these courses I bought always in the beginning, like have the right mindset, like have a growth mindset, choose your right environment. It's stupid, but it's true. Like it's so, so true. And there's so many people I've seen that have just fell by the wayside because their wife wouldn't let them, or their mom or their dad or whatever. But like, if your goal is to be at a certain spot, like if your goal is to make, let's pretend, $250,000 a year, you should only take advice from people that either make that or make more, preferably people that make more, right? Like, why would you ever take advice from someone that makes 75K a year if you want to make 250? You shouldn't, right? But people do it all the time. And the reason being, and this is like going into, I feel like this is a mindset podcast now, but the reason people are like that is because most people have lofty goals and like making $250,000 a year, you're in the top few percent of America. And normal people do not make $250,000 a year. So to get to the point of making $250,000 a year, you have to do things that most people would not, right? And because most people would not do those things, and because it's not normal, normal people criticize you for it because it's not normal, right? Like when I started buying and selling sports cards, no offense to my parents, but it was not normal. They didn't understand it. And people are going to call you crazy until you start to make money. And then when you start to make money, you're going to have people reaching out to you saying, "How are you making money?" Then you're going to tell them how. Then they're not going to do it because it's outside of their comfort zone, right? There's a saying, I think it's just a saying within our company actually, that the more comfortable you are in the uncomfortable, the more money you will make in life. I can promise you that. Because if you're comfortable being uncomfortable, you could reach places and get to places that most people aren't willing to go to, like starting a business or whatever. And actually, like that whole mini fight I had with my girlfriend yesterday because she was acting weird and her friends, were trying to drive a wedge between us because they were jealous. She said to me, like, as I was like, pissed off at her, she said to me after the whole thing, how did you stay so composed? Like, how did you do that? And it's because like one of the traits I've been able to develop, and I'm not out here bragging, but I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable. Like I'm almost screwed up in the head where like I'm excited to have an uncomfortable conversation because I've just wired my brain that way because I know it pushes me forward. As funny and dumb as that may sound, but that's enough mindset and or growth minded stuff, whatever you want to call it. Let's get into some sports card stuff. Let's get into making money. Let's get into business. If you guys have any questions on what I just said, let me know. But it's dumb. But I'll go off on one of these podcasts once in a while because I think it's so important. And it sounds so corny that you need the right mindset to make money with sports cards. But so many people have such a crappy mindset and put themselves around the wrong people that, you know, they do. Got a question. So I see a question in the chat here. "Hey, Eric, I have a 2021 Topps Chrome Gold Nolan Ryan on card auto. I'm just wondering, what do you recommend me doing with it? Because I'm new to collecting. I never had a card worth something before. Yep, let's show this. So this is the question at stake. Let me try to answer this. So one, I have no idea what this card is worth. So let's find out. So what I'm oops, wrong button. I'm gonna go to eBay real quick. And so like you have a 2021, what was it? It was a 2021 Topps Chrome Nolan Ryan Gold. So Topps Chrome Auto. I'm trying to look what this card is worth because your boy's got no idea. Um, Topps Chrome Gold. So it's this card, I assume. But let me see. What I'm gonna do here is go to sold items and click. So okay. So there's no sales of it. Uh, we can go to Market Movers. This is another app that'll show, but I don't know if it's gonna show this. Nolan Ryan Gold. Let me see if it's gonna show. Nah, I don't think it's gonna show in here. Okay, so this card. Oh wait, there's one right here. Never mind. I assume this is the card you're talking about. Oh wait, let me share this tab. There we go. So I assume it's this card right here that sold for $224. So I'm gonna assume this card's worth about. This is a PSA 7. So like, if your card's in decent condition, I'm gonna assume it's worth around $300. So one, it depends. It's dependent on the condition. So let me try to help you out as much as I possibly could. So, okay. So the question you're asking me, so essentially, like to boil this down, like the question is, should you grade the card or should you not? Right. And to break this down to you, so grading a card. There are four pieces of criteria, and you can write this down and I'll walk you through it as well. Four pieces of criteria. You have corners. Oh, whoops. Corners, edges, centering, surface. These are the four, and autograph. If you grade the autograph. If you grade autograph. So these are the four pieces of criteria you look for when it comes to grading a sports card, right? So the question you have to ask yourself is this card worth sending into PSA to get graded? If you don't know what PSA is, this is PSA. This is a grading company, and they grade cards. You can go to this website. I'm not going to walk through it all, but you could start a submission. You can make an account, and it'll walk you through it step by step how to get this card graded. And what you'll be doing is probably using this service, the $25 service, to get it graded. So you're going to spend about $25 to get it graded if you do. Now, if we look at this card, so let's take a look at this card here. So I'm assuming this is the card you have. I think this probably, yeah, I would assume this is it. And right, you want to be looking at the corners, edges, centering, and surface. So because this card is all black, the edges and the corners chip easier. So if you look here, you see how this corner is a little messed up. And I don't know why this card graded a 7, but it did. So like this isn't bad, but there's like a little whiting on that corner. So you want to be looking at the corners. Like, are they sharp, right angles, and do they have any whiting? If they don't, good. Now the centering on this card, the centering is probably, it's tricky to tell. The centering on this card, the way I would look at it, so right here, the bottom of the numbers down this space to this space, the top of the logo, you want to make sure that's about even. And most of these cards, like shaped like this, the centering is going to be good. And then the edges, the same thing. You want to be looking for these edges, and usually edges are usually pretty decent. You want to be looking for any whiting. So you want to be looking for any whiting for the corners and the edges. You want to make sure they're sharp, right corners. And then the last one's the surface. Surface is kind of hard to see, especially a card like this. Since it's all black, the surface is probably fine. Where when it comes to surface, usually surfaces start to go array and start to go bad when the more shiny the card is. So the more shiny the card is, if you just think about it logically, the higher the chance it could get. If it gets scratched, right, it's going to show. So that's kind of how to break it down. But if that checks out, it's worth setting it in for grading. Because if I had to imagine, that card's probably worth about 300 based on what I just saw. And as a 10, it's probably 600 double. It's kind of not gonna be many sales, so of that card. But yeah, so that you want to send it in for grading if it checks out. By the way, I see all these questions in the chat. I am gonna favor questions of people that call in to the number on the bottom left. Just a heads up because it's more entertaining when people call in. Bookie collection. Does that mean you're a bookie collection? What's the Oh, let me show this question. What's the best platform to sell higher end sports cards safely on? So, the best place to sell higher end sports cards safely would be sports card shows because you get the cash right then and there. Uh, I think we have a. Is that a call coming in, Kavi? Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this question for just a second. Let it rip. You got Eric here?
Hey, what's up, Eric? This is JT, man. I'm calling because I can ask you questions, right?
You could.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Man, I ran across a video. I don't know if you've seen this guy. His name
Okay.
is on Instagram. It's like Boston Card Hunter or something like that. But anyways, it's like I guess he reposted your video about you talking about 780s and 90s cards.
Yeah.
But basically, he said something about like your vintage cards being worthless. You don't know what you're talking about, and I got vintage cards, so I wanted to see just what was your take on that video. It kind of came across my feed, and what was your take on vintage cards and 70s, 80s, and 90s cards? And I don't know if you've seen this guy, but yeah, man, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. So that's a go. I don't know who that is, but I'm assuming it's just another comment or video. So okay, so a few things. The vintage card stuff. So I think it referred to me just saying, generally speaking, cards from the 70s, 80s, and 90s are worthless. The cards from the 90s or the cards from those eras that'll usually be worth something. I'm just like generally speaking here, it's like 90s basketball. That's what people have. Like obviously there's cards from the 80s, like obviously like an 86 Fleer Jordan is worth a ton of money. Are people gonna have that laying around? Probably not. So I'm just kind of generally speaking, and the reason I say that most of those cards are worthless because it's such a common question I get, and just 99% of the time they are. I'm just trying to like speed up people's success just to not even think about selling those cards because they're just not worth a lot of money. But it's dependent. Like you could have a rookie Roger Clemens card. The card's worth a few dollars, but if the card's in perfect condition as a 10, it's worth much, much more. So those cards, any of those cards graded at 10 from the 70s, 80s, and 90s of any decent start is going to be worth a lot of money. But it's all about the condition. But just to be like straightforward, the way I've made a lot of money is flipping modern cards. I am no expert in vintage cards. I know how to make money with them. But like if you asked me like who's the fourth card in this set, this player, I have no clue, and neither do I really care, to be honest with you. So I'm not an expert with
Mhm.
vintage cards in the slightest way. I'm not even an expert with like modern cards. Like when it comes to like, there's so many more people that could tell you like in this product, like these are the different types of variations, and this is what's on the checklist. I have no idea. I have no idea. The thing I'm good at is flipping sports cards and making money. Like I cannot tell you a great history of sports cards. I can tell you the simple stuff. They're just like just to be transparent. I'm good at making money with sports cards, knowing all like the history and all these little details and stuff versus like a collector who's been collecting for 40, 50 years could run circles around me when it comes to that stuff. But like I'm here to help people make an income with sports cards. So that's the first thing. Um, just to be transparent. The second
Mhm.
thing is so the reason I never respond to like hate videos, especially with sports cards. So sports cards is a funny game, and I knew this when I launched Major League Profits in 2020. Like people are very sensitive about sports cards because it's like their pastime or fun or hobby. So like people are very sensitive about it. So I knew the minute I launched ads, I was going to get a lot of hate. But someone like this guy, I don't know how old he is, whether he's a kid or he's 30, 40, 50 years old. There's a great book that we make all of our employees read. It's kind of like our company Bible. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Amazing book. You may have read it. You may have heard of it. It was a book written in the 1930s by someone named Dale Carnegie, and Dale Carnegie was a famous
Mhm.
public speaker, and he wrote this book that went super viral and it's still very relevant to this day. But anyways, the point, if you ever read that book, it would tell you that, especially on, it doesn't say this, but like just reading the book, you would get this. So like someone on social media that's bashing you, like I teach people how to make money and I run a lot of ads. We push this in people's faces. So naturally you're going to get a lot of people that don't like me. It's just how it works. Especially people in sports cards. Like I think that guy, whoops, I just hit my mic. I think that guy, if he's calling me a scammer or he's saying I don't know anything, probably in his true heart of heart, he's making that post to protect people from me. He probably thinks like And unfortunately, there's a lot of things out there on the internet that say one thing and do another. So, like, I believe in that guy's heart, he actually thinks he's doing the right thing. And, our reviews could speak for itself. But when it comes down to someone making a social media post and like bashing me, like, number one, so because these people's mindset is already shaped, commenting or like trying to start a war or fight back is just irrelevant. It's kind of like the best example I can give you. It's like a Democrat and Republican arguing with each other. Have you ever seen a Republican and a Democrat argue with each other, and then at the end of the argument, the Democrat or the Republican was like, you know what? Actually, you were right. I'm going to vote on your side. No, right? It's impossible. So fighting fire with
Right.
fire is just one. It's a waste of my time because it just does. Even if I went in that guy's post and I said 2 + 2 is 4, he would still say I'm wrong, right? Because people love
Right.
drama, and I keep out of drama. Like, I'd rather spend my time instead of going back and forth with someone and getting nowhere and just wasting my time and energy. I'd rather spend my time helping people and getting on coaching calls and helping students make money, making my program better. So like that's why I never respond to that stuff. And I get a ton of hate, tons of comments and posts and all sorts of stuff like that. But it's just, even if I'm right, it just doesn't matter because people like are just waiting there for me to respond, and then no matter what I say, just go crazy. Especially in the world of sports cards, because people are very sensitive. So like that's why I never respond to that stuff. And especially like doing that, like making posts like that in the short term. Like if I was making posts here, let me give you an example to drive this point home. Then I'll start answering other questions. But like if I were to make posts like that, like this person doesn't know what he's talking about and bashing people. In the short term, it's funny. It would get some views and people would comment like, "Yeah, you're right." But you actually lose people's respect by taking the higher road. You gain like that guy. Like if you were to go and sell something, like because I don't know. Once again, I don't know if it's a kid or an older guy, but if it's
I think
especially
he's an older guy.
older guy. So like for example, nothing against that guy, but doing that, you kind of look like silly and you lose people's respect. Like, yeah, I'm sure he's getting views and comments and people are like siding with him, but like no one will respect you running around on social media just bashing people, right? And I prefer to take the higher road. I prefer to not put my time and energy into something that'll just get me nowhere, right? I like to put my time and energy into things that push my life forward, students' life forward, etc. So that's why I never respond to that stuff. But have I said dumb things that are wrong before? Hell yeah, hell yeah. I've said some things on accident, like certain cards of certain years that were wrong. Fuck yeah, there's so much to know about sports cards, and I'm not the absolute expert. I'm just an expert when it comes to flipping them and making money. So that's like you'll never see me respond to a hate comment ever. You'll never see me hate on anyone. I just think it's a waste of everyone's time, and I like to keep myself out of that game. And
Yeah.
honestly, and also there's a saying. Once again, I don't know this dude. I don't know. He could be a billionaire. He could be worth no money. But also something I've learned from Alex Hormozy is you never get hate from someone that is above you. You only get hate from people that are below you. So like that's why. Have you ever seen like would Elon Musk ever waste his time like making fun of me because I said a card is from the wrong year? Of course not. It's stupid because he's way ahead of me, right? So you only get hate from
Right.
people below you. So like it's like a waste of your time to talk with those people and put your time and energy. It's just the way I look at it. But once again, I don't know if this comes off cocky or wrong, but that's just my honest viewpoint. But I would, if that guy's running around on social media doing those things, I'd recommend him reading the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Um, Changed his life. It changes a lot of our
Yeah.
employees' lives. But yeah, any other questions,
I w
JT?
Yeah, I actually so what would also are 70s, 80s, and 90s considered vintage, or is it like 50s? Are those considered more vintage?
Uh, if you speak to like someone, like like just a regular collector, I think they would consider like 1969 and below vintage. I consider anything pre 2000, 99 and below vintage. But like they're way different eras. Like 1970 and 1999, a lot of those cards are worthless. It's considered a lot of those cards are from the junk era. You want to be looking for 90s basketball. Those cards are hard to grade. But then you get down to like 1969 and below, and especially 1959 and below, those cards are worth a lot of money. So like any card from 1980 graded a PSA 7 is not gonna be worth anything, or unless that's like a '86 Fleer Jordan or something like that. But anything from like 1959 and below, a lot of those cards graded to 7 worth tons of money. So the reason being is because those cars from the '50s, a lot of those people didn't value sports cars, so a lot of people threw them out. And they weren't produced that much. But in the '70s and '80s, people were like, wait a second, these cars from the '50s are worth some money. We're gonna hold our cards and collect them. And then sports cars got popular. They started to get overproduced. And then yeah, so like because everyone kept them, they're not worth anything. So it's like something is only an opportunity when no one else sees it as an opportunity. So like the people that held their cards that lived in the '50s made a lot of money because no one else saw cards as an opportunity. You know, that's kind of like buying Jaden Daniels right now. I think that's a dumb idea because like everyone thinks he's the greatest quarterback ever because he had a great rookie season. So like something like that's like my viewpoint on vintage, generally speaking.
Got it. Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate you answering my question.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Okay.
All right, bye bye. By the way, I see a ton of questions. Kavi, did we have another caller coming in? I see a ton of questions in the chat here. Like, call in if you're not at work. Call in. It makes it more entertaining. It's the number at the bottom. Do you want to call that guy back? Okay, we're calling someone. This guy's probably gonna be like, "What the hell?"
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? This is Eric. I'm calling you back. We're live.
Awesome. This is Matt, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, dude.
So I got two questions for you today.
Go for it.
Um, One, just very general. What is the best way to make money in sports cards in this industry?
Yep. Okay. And okay, so you want to do
And
one?
then
One.
this,
All right, go for both
yeah,
questions.
I
Yeah,
mean,
go for both
I'll hit you
questions.
with the second
Yeah, go
question.
for it.
The second question is, what is your best approach to make money at sports card events and going into a an event, and what strategies do you have to making money during those card shows?
Yeah, yeah, good question. So, usually when people ask me questions, I always respond with the same thing. What's your goal? Like, give me a little bit breakdown of your life. Like, where do you live? How old are you? What's your goal?
Sure, no problem. My name is Matt. I'm 26, and my goal is to make money. Last year, I did 20K sales in eBay, kind of just selling
Nice.
everything. I got into sports cars at Fanatics Fest. When I found out that I could sell the hobby box to a vendor and make 200 cash, I'm like, hey, right there. And then ended up getting my hands on another box, and I ended
Yep.
up pulling $1,500 worth of value. And I'm like, hey. And then
Yes.
that
Nice.
that that one lucky box got me, addicted to the hobby. So now I have a collection over about 10K.
Nice.
And I've sold some. I made some money. Pulled some great one-on-one Gunnar Henderson cards, stuff like that, right? But I'm kind of just trying to figure out um, what is the best way to move forward. I understand buying boxes and hoping for big pulls isn't the way to go. I've spent my money doing that. So now I go to card shows and try to look for cards that are in good condition that I can grade. Hope for that PSA 10. But I'm just looking for some more consistency in being able to flip stuff and kind of have a strategy that way.
Yep. So, do you watch my content or not much?
I do.
Okay.
Well, occasionally I do watch your content.
Okay. And so, uh, do you have a budget of at least a few grand to spend?
I can make that happen. I mean, it's definitely tight. Wife, two kids, so
Yeah. Oh
it's
man,
tight. But if I,
you're starting young. I'm 27. I just got a girlfriend for the first time in 10 years. You're married to kids at
yeah, man.
26. Uh,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay. Well, then what I would say, okay, let's pretend. I'm gonna pretend you have $1,000 to spend, but also
Okay.
you said you have a collection of 10 grand, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
okay, and your goal. Give me a number. Like, is your goal to make 2K a month, 3K a month profit?
I don't have an exact goal, honestly. I just like some consistency and having a plan like that.
Okay. I'm gonna pretend your goal is 2 grand profit a month. That's a nice starting goal. So, one, like, if we're talking to strictly make money, like this is the bottom line goal, to strictly make money with sports cards. The first thing I would do, whatever you have in your collection, I would sell to get cash because,
Okay.
and I'm assuming a lot of that stuff is modern cards.
Yeah, mostly modern. See, when I first got started with my collection, I pulled the Mookie Betts Helix card. So that made me want to go and collect a set. So currently I'm halfway through collecting that set. And that's just kind of another thing. I have my personal collection and those
Yeah.
cards, and then I have the cards that, hey, I want to sell.
Yep.
But it's like I just got a Patrick Mahomes rookie card graded, came back at 10. I bought
Nice.
that card $50, and then now that's a $300 card. Okay, that's something I might want to hold on to for my kid and his future later on, because Mahomes, I
Okay.
know his value is most likely going to stick. So it's also kind of just trying to figure that as well. Like those cards, the Otani PSA 10s, the Judges,
Yeah.
those cards. What do I
So
do? Do I sell those now to get
yeah.
cash?
Yes. Okay. It's a good question. So there's multiple. I'm gonna walk you through step by step. So yes, sell whatever you have to get cash. Here's a little thing with most modern cards go down in value. Most modern guys do not perform up to expectations. But even like Patrick Mahomes, for example, who already knows kind of a goat, even if you buy his card, if you buy a card for him of his for like $500 and you hold it for years and years and it doubles in 5 years, you can do much more with that $500 today than you could just holding the card, even if it triples. Like think about this, right? You bought a Patrick Mahomes card for
Absolutely.
$50, you got a grade, and now it's worth 300. If you did that multiple times with multiple Mahomes cards, you're doubling or tripling your money in a month or 2 months, right? So like holding any modern cards, especially if your goal is make consistent money, holding any cards is not what you want to be doing. Okay, that's the first thing. So like literally, if I were you, if you were a student of my program and you paid me money, a coach would tell you sell everything you have, get the cash, and start buying, grading, and flipping. So like that's the first thing. So like get cash, right? Sell it. It's not and like what you could
Okay.
do, what most people do, ones that come into our program. I hear what you're saying. All right, you want to piece off some money, put it into build a set, buy cards for your kid's future to hold. I get that. But first, you need the income coming in, and piece off some of the income. Buy some Mahomes rookie cards, to store them away. Collect the set. But first, you want the income coming in, so you have the extra cash to do it, right? Because if your budget's tight, you don't want to be strapped by you holding this $10,000 collection. You can do so much more with that $10,000, even if it like even if that $10,000, which is not, even if it doubled by next year and was worth 20 grand, it's still worth it for you to sell today because you should that 10K you could turn into like 40, 50, 60, 70K in the next year by buying, grading, and flipping because the money is just so much more than holding. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then what I would do specifically, if you have a budget of let's say $1,000, the problem with sending cards to PSA is that it takes forever to get back. So like if you start buying cards, $50, $100, $200, you run it out of your budget quickly, which is why I'm telling you to sell what you have. So like what I would be doing right now in your shoes, are you watching me live right now or no?
I am, but I'm on the phone call, so
Okay. Well, anyways,
I can't.
it'll be a little delayed anyways. But what I would do, I'm gonna just show the audience, and even if you try to watch it, it's gonna be a little delayed because
Okay.
we're on the phone. It's a little bit quicker. But like I would be buying. So you want to be timing the market, right? So you want to be buying football, right? Football's cheap. It's in the off season. Buy cards, send them to PSA. It'll take about 2 months to get back to you ish, and then sell them. So like if I were you, I'd be buying cards in that like $50 to $200 range. So like especially Prism. So like for example, I'll just show you like one card that's a good example. So like the card that my students, so I've had over 3,000 students join my program at this point, and the card that students have made the most amount of money on is what I'm showing you on the screen right now, the Prism Disco, orange disco. This is just a good example of a card. This card, let's see what it sells for. It sells for like the Bo Nix sells for like $50, $60, and a PSA 10 is worth like 280 to 300. So, whoops. You want to be doing, I keep hitting my mic. You want to be doing stuff like that. Buying Prism's a great product. It's a little bit harder to grade. So you want to be looking out for the corner on the back, the bottom back to make sure that it's good to go. But like even like that's the type of stuff you want to be doing. And then selling these cards when you get them back and just keep flipping. And then as you get closer to the football season, start to move into the next sport, which would be basketball, buy some basketball in
Absolutely.
the offseason, etc. Like that's what I'd be doing. I'd be loading up on that stuff. And that stuff, dude, it sells faster than if you bought a Bo Nix Disco, got it graded, and it's a 10, you will sell it so fast you won't even know what to do with it. Like you'll sell it before it even gets back from grading. Like that's the type of stuff I'd be doing. And that is the type of stuff that'll change your life, right? Because like you want to get into sports cards to make money to change your life, right? Give you more money for mortgage, vacation for your kids, whatever. And that's the way to do it. By holding, you're not making any money.
Absolutely. Now, when we're buying these cards coming in, right? Now, what percentage of these cards that we're getting in are we even worth sending to grade? Because I know, obviously, I've heard your content. We do the coin flip. It comes back as a 9. You're breaking even. Comes
Yep.
back a 10. Obviously, we're profiting, right? But now, Where are you getting these inventory from? eBay. Let's say eBay, and then we're getting those cards in. Okay, it has damage on it. Now we know it's a little dimple. It's not going to get a 10. Then what do you do with that? Are we returning it?
No, no, don't return it. You're gonna piss people off, and you're gonna don't return it. So you have a few options. So what part of the country do you live in?
New York area.
Oh, nice. I used to live in Long Island for 3 years. Um, I'm from New Jersey, but so you want to. So okay, so the main place I bought sports cards. The main place I bought sports cards in my life is eBay. eBay is where I bought most of the cards to get graded, and then most of the cards, like when I go to card shows, I buy cards that are already graded, like higher end stuff. And then I sell a lot of cards through Facebook groups. Like that's where I've done most of my damage. Not all of it, but like that's like, and there's no right or wrong. I have students that do everything through Twitter or X, and then I have students that do everything through Instagram. But to break it down to you, so I'll share my screen. I know you can't see it, but all right. So if you're decent, right? If you're decent, you'll be buying about 8 out of 10 cards you well, not, if you're good, 9 out of 10, but expect about 8 out of 10 cards you buy to actually send in for grading. Okay. So like you could see this on the replay, but like let's use that Bo Nix example, right? So I'll break this math down to you. If you buy 10 Bo Nix discos at I think it was selling for like $60 each, right? That means 10 times 60, you're spending $600 on 10 cards of Bo Nix, right? And then each card is going to cost you about $25 grading cost times 10 cards, which equals 250. So your total investment buying 10 Bo Nix cards to send in for grading is about 850, okay? Now, I'm not even counting you're probably only going to send 8 out of 10 to get graded. But if you're decent, especially with Prism, if you get 50% of cards to get a 10, 50% cards, grade a PSA 10. And even if you get lower than this, you'll be able to make money. Well, we just discovered a PSA 10 is about let's call it 280. And a PSA 9, let's see what a PSA 9 is worth. A PSA 9 of this specific card it's worth like 90, 80, $90, something like that. Let's call it $80, right? So, in other words, if you buy a Bo Nix card for $60, spend $25 to get it graded, that means you're going to profit roughly each card that grades. Let me share this. You're going to profit $200 each time a Bo Nix card grades a 10. And if it gets a PSA 9, after fees and stuff, you'll lose about $10. Probably about $20 actually. So like this is the game you're playing, and like the Bo Nix card sells for $280, but after fees and stuff, you'll realistically probably net like 160, call it profit. So basically, if you do what I'm saying here, right, and an investment of $850, and you get 280 or 5 cards that are going to profit you 160, and another 5 cards that are going to lose you $20. Well, let's do the math. So 5 times 160. I know I'm going really fast. I'm trying to show this to the audience too, and you can see this on the replay. So the Bo Nix cards that gave you a PSA 10, those 5 made you $800, and then the other 5 are going to lose you $100, so minus 100. So your total profit, hopefully this is making sense to everyone, is $700. So you invested 850, right? And 5 got a 10, 5 got a 9, and you ended up profiting $700. You almost doubled your total investment in a matter of 2 months. But this is just one example, right? If you keep buying cards continually, you buy like 1, 2 cards a day at like 30, 50, $80 each, you'll create this rolling stream of money that just you're consistently making money. But this is the game, right? And those are the types of cards you want to be buying, and they'll sell faster than you. You don't even know what to do with them. But that's the math behind it. And that's what I would be
Absolutely.
doing.
No, yeah. It definitely makes a lot of sense, and it makes me think about, selling off that collection that I got going on right now. Would you suggest? I mean, I heard you say Facebook Marketplace. I do a lot of sales on eBay. What do you think is better, eBay Marketplace? Marketplace, Facebook. I don't really have too much of a presence on. I kind of wanted to stay away from that. I've had some success selling at local car shows as well. Would you say eBay is a good route to go that way to sell off that large collection? Because if I'm going to sell off this large
What's in it?
collection, what's the best way to do that?
What's in it?
Um, so I have, man, let's see.
Like,
I have the
give me the
Helix.
most expensive card in it. Just tell me the most expensive.
I have a few cars that are about $1,000. Um, about 3 to 1,000. I have anywhere from the range of 3 to 500. Got a couple Tawny tens. Got a couple Jaden Daniels in there. Um, and then I have a Gunnar Henderson 101 that I kind of wanted to hold on to for a little bit. I don't know what you suggest with the 101s, but again, those are
Yeah.
the type of cars that
Oh,
I kind of
yeah.
have.
If you were paying me money, no matter what it is, I would tell you to sell it. So you have two options. Number one would be just auction them on eBay, and number two, sell them. Or actually, the best option is selling. Do you know what a repacker is?
Yes, and I also do sell on Whatnot. I do some shows. I started off trying to sell like regular cars. It was a little tough, and then I ended up getting into pull boxes. So I'll put about $100 card in value, and then I'll do a pull box, and then I found that to be just entertaining and fun to connect with the
Yeah.
community. So
Yep. I would try to sell those cards to a repacker. They'll give you the most amount of money. They'll
okay,
probably give you about 90% in cash. But even if you have to sell on eBay, auction them, you'll end up netting about 87%. Or you could sell it to just a dealer that'll probably give you like 85%. But you don't need like if the collection's worth 10,000, you don't need exactly $10,000. Get what you could, get 8,500 to $9,000 and start putting it into like my system or like what I'm showing you here and telling you here so you can make consistent money.
gotcha.
Um, that's what I would do. And then like you
Awesome,
could rebuy that
awesome,
stuff, once you're making money. But like
absolutely,
that's what I would do. And just know younger guys, like I'm not talking about like Mahomes and Otani, but like Gunnar Henderson, odds are in 3 years from now, his cards will be worth way less than they are today, statistically speaking.
absolutely,
So like holding younger
awesome.
guys, never a good idea.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Last question that I would
Yeah, go
have:
for it.
Do you do a free trial or something that I can get my feet wet in your program? Like I said, with the wife and 2 kids, it's always tough for me
Yeah,
to.
I wouldn't. Um, yeah. So our program, I'm trying. Like, I want to give you the best advice here. If
No,
you're
you're fine.
like, if your budget, like, I would not join my program unless you have like, I mean, I guess you have it. Unless you have an extra like 2 to 3K. If you have under that to spend, I would not join it. Because like I don't want you like I want people if they're gonna pay you money, I want them to have fast success. And fast success, you need a little bit of money. Um, we don't offer a free like trial, but there is a refund. So if you ever do you see my ads or like any of the links in the YouTube videos, it'll lead you to a video. It's a webinar. It's like 30 minutes. And then at the end, you could buy our program. And there's a 6-month refund policy as long as you buy 10 cards and get them graded. So if you buy 10 cards and get them graded, we'll send you your money back. The reason we have you do that, obviously,
Yeah,
is we want to incentivize you to take the action that makes you successful. So there's a 6-month refund policy.
gotcha. All right. Well, I don't want to take too much more time on your show. Thank you for your time, and then maybe on the back end of things, we can get in touch and talk more
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
I wouldn't. Don't go and buy it today. I honestly, and this is coming from the person that's going to make money from it. Don't buy it today. Go and sell the collection first. I'd put into action what I just told you. Make a little bit of money. Let me prove myself, and like then you could pay us money later on. I wouldn't join it today if I were you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Is there another caller, Kavi? We calling him? You text these people? Oh, you do. That's funny. All right, we're calling someone else.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? This is Eric calling in from the Eric Michael Show.
Hey, Aaron. Hey, I called and I had a little bit more time, but I do have a little bit of time,
Yeah, go
and
for
I
it.
just had a couple of quick
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm one of these guys. I would go to the Goodwill,
Okay.
and one day I found like 40 baseball, football, basketball cards,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
and they were in that hard plastic case.
Yep.
Well, I put them away, and I didn't know much about cards, and I said, "Oh, here's some popular ones," and I regret this to this day. Here's a Michael Jordan Fleer, right?
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, people like Michael Jordan, right?"
Yep.
So I put it on eBay, and I figured that community knows what that card is, right? And long story short, I expected them to bid on it and get close to what everyone thought it was worth. Anyway, I sold it for $80, and to this day, I'm sure that thing was worth more. I
Yeah.
didn't. I know a little bit about the grading, right? But I remember that card had the corners. It wasn't centered perfectly, but it looked like a nice card. And I've seen similar or worse cards that were graded and sold for hell of a lot more, as you probably know.
Yep.
But anyway, I got all these cards now, right? I've
Uh-huh.
got Montana's. I've got uh, uh, Starbucks. I've got Ricky Henderson's.
Mhm.
All kinds of cards, and they're in that case. And I could tell sometimes there might be a little bit of stain or something, but the majority of them are in shape. My question, I guess, is, how I'd like to get them graded, at least those that I think might have a chance of getting a 10,
Yep.
right? But I mean, how much can I trust my inexperienced eye
Uh-huh.
to bite the bullet on these cards and send them off?
Not much. I wouldn't I wouldn't
Yeah,
trust your inexperienced eye. Um,
yeah.
Simplest solution, you can just send me pictures on Instagram. I'll just tell you what I think.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
but I would not expect those cards to 10. Those cards like Starbuck and very, very hard to grade a 10. I would not expect it. To be
Mhm.
frank with you. But yeah, send me pictures. But even some of those times those cards grading a 9 or even an 8 will be worth a bang for
Mhm.
your buck by sending it to grading. Because like the
Right.
question you have to ask yourself, and hopefully this helps you, is you'll spend about $25 to get the card graded if you send it to PSA. So
Mhm.
you want to at least double your money. Like that's like my rule.
Right.
So like if I'm spending, you already have the card,
Mhm.
so the cost for the card is 0, and you have it $25 grading costs, some shipping, extra stuff. So like I want that card, whatever I think it's gonna grade. Let's say I think it's gonna grade a 9. I want it to be worth at least like $60 graded a 9. So I know
Mhm.
I could at least come close to doubling my money. That's what I would do. I would not expect those cards to 10. Send them to me and I'll let you know. I mean, you could pop them over to me on Instagram right now and I'll share my screen and show everyone if you got pictures.
Um, I did. You know what? There was someone from your place that was texting me, and I sent it to him in a text. Um,
Uh,
and but I don't know if it's because I didn't answer. Like it says to say yes if I want to set up a meeting. I
um,
didn't say yes, but I just sent I sent the picture of the
yeah, yeah.
cards, right?
I'll personally respond to you. What's give me your name,
It's Martin.
Martin,
Yeah,
and last name.
I just put P. That's all right.
Okay, gotcha.
P and Paul.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yep, I see your text
Eh,
messages. I'll shoot you a response. Or I'll have someone shoot you a response.
Okay. What I said is I have about 20 Michael Jordans, right?
Okay.
And they're all encased, and like I've read through or heard through some of your stuff. Uh, they look good, right? And I think I think they encased them way back when,
Hmm.
right? And that hard plastic. And I've seen maybe 5 of them there that have gone at 10. They go for 3 grand or 4 or 5,
Uh huh.
right? But like I said, they look protected. They look good, in my opinion. But I'd like to send them all to get graded. At
Yep.
least the ones that show good value, right? And then go from there.
Yeah.
And I know you market to busy people and stuff like that, and that's what I am. But I'm looking here to get free in the next 6 or 8 months. But I'm kind of just getting my feet wet, right? But
Gotcha.
but it looks like a real exciting. I know you say it's not gambling, but that element that element's in there,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and
Yeah. For sure. It's always a slight gamble whether the card's gonna grade a 10 or a 9.
yeah,
It's just an educated gamble.
yeah.
So, what I would do the best, like I need pictures of the cards to actually like help you
Okay.
directly. I would send pictures,
Okay.
and then I'll have one of my coaches literally call you and
Okay.
go over it with you, for free. I'm not gonna charge you anything, just to help you out.
Okay. Okay.
But cool.
All
And then
right. Then.
is your the first three letters of your phone number, is it 801 or 803?
No. No.
None
Nine
of them.
five six.
Oh, 856. Okay, gotcha.
No. 956.
956. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. I'll have someone to shoot you a call or shoot you a text. So, um, yeah, I'll have so look out for that in the next few hours.
Okay. I mean, that's awesome. That'll get me started, and I do appreciate the help.
Yeah, for sure, dude. If you think of any other questions, just let me know, and we go live Monday 10 a.m. So anything else, just
Yeah, I was
let me
on
know.
last week, and then again this week.
Nice. Yo, any other questions, man? Just calling you. I'll have a coach call you so he can spend more time with you, and then call in next week and let me know how
Okay.
it goes.
All right. Awesome.
All right, sounds good, Martin. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
we have another caller coming in. All right, got another one. Calling him.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? This is Eric calling. You're live on the Eric Michael
Oh,
Show.
hey, Eric. Hey, thanks for taking my call. Well, I wanted to let you know, my wife and I, we're fairly new collectors. We started in September of last year,
Ooh,
2024. She inherited her dad's um, card collection.
yep,
He had a sporting goods store out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and
nice.
he had an enormous collection of cards and a lot of other sports
Uh
things
huh.
because he sold to the local high schools and a lot of Bengals and Red stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that we did an inventory. We haven't opened up all the boxes quite yet, but we have found. I think we counted something close to 20 Kobe rookies and a
Oh
bunch
wow.
of the old basketball. I know,
Yep.
and football and baseball, and he has everything, hockey, and it's caused us to become interested. And so we started watching the YouTube shows and this and that, and collecting, and we found your channel, and we
Yes.
thought, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. He's making money with it. We don't want to just. I've heard the term chase to zero with the cards, and we want to make sure we're pricing them right. And also, my wife and I are looking at joining your program.
Yep.
But I had a question for you first. We have a lot of questions, but there's one that's really just nagging at us. And when we go onto Whatnot and we
Yep.
buy a card, or
Yep.
if we go onto eBay, we when we get them, they just don't look that great. And we're thinking, how in the world can you screen them when you're looking at it? I've seen you look at the corners real quickly and look at the centering, but man, sometimes you just can't tell. And I get them in, and there's like a surface scratch or something, and I just get frustrated. And I wonder, is there a way that are we allowed to wipe them with a lint-free cloth and
Yeah,
things like
yeah, yeah.
that?
You are. You're just not. You're technically not allowed to. One, you're not allowed to trim them for sure, right? I've seen people
Okay,
slightly trim the corners, and I've gotten in big trouble. And yeah, you could just
right, right.
wipe it with like a microfiber cloth, but putting like substances on the surface to make it look better. I don't do it. It gets kind of dicey. But
Okay,
what is your to help you out and point you in the right direction? Because you said you had
sure.
this big collection
Yeah.
that you inherited, and now it got you into sports cards, and now your goal is to turn sports
Yes.
cards into some sort of side income. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like this. We want to keep if we have any duplicates, we're willing to sell those of our old things. We've
Yeah.
got cards that go back to the 1880s,
Oh
and
shit.
and then I know, but we have the great ones. I haven't opened up all the boxes, but we have stacks and stacks of these boxes that he had,
Okay.
and I think a lot of them are junk wax era. Which, by the way, there are some great cards in that era.
Yeah, yeah, there
I'd
were.
like to say that, but a lot of them are not. But it also got us kind of hooked on. And my wife, she's been trying to build our inventory. We did a card show and we profited on our first one and just turned it around really good. She finds sparkle and prisms and donuts and all the other
Yeah,
cracked
yeah,
ice and
yeah.
all those fancy cards and are selling them, but we're also putting our duplicates out there. But the problem we're having is when we order on eBay or something, it comes in, I put it under the scope, the jewel loop, and it just I find scratches on all kinds of things, and I'm afraid to send them off to grade because I know they're not going to do well.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
just kind of wish I had a better eye for that. And I didn't know, how do I get that better eye
yeah.
before I buy them?
Okay. So goals to make an income, do it through grading sports cards. Um, okay.
Yes.
So it's no different than like even like in my program, if I were to sit down with you and literally show you these are the corners, edges, centering, surface, and you watch my videos, like even if I tell you how to do it, like even if I show you how to shoot a free throw, your elbow goes here, this is where you put your hand, you're still gonna suck until you've done it a bunch, right?
Yes.
That's just how it
Okay.
goes, right? So like actually
Yes.
in
All
your
right.
case, from what you're telling me, because the best and fastest way to learn is through someone actually helping you. Like if you've noticed on these podcasts I do, like I usually tell people
Yeah.
like don't join my program, but actually in your
Right.
case,
Right.
it will probably benefit you and help you a lot, and you're just paying for speed of success. So in your case, I would actually probably join for that because the question you have to and this is not me like I hate to come out here and start and sound like I'm freaking selling my program, but like
Sure.
you could either like do what I did. It took me like 3 years to like do sports cards every day all day and I finally like started making consistent income and I understood everything and how to look at cards and everything. Or you could just like pay someone. If you find someone else besides me, go pay them instead. If you want to pay them and they just help you be successful right away because they have the years of experience under their belt. So, like, even if I were to sit down with you right now and show you things, you're still gonna stink because you just haven't done it a bunch.
All right.
Even me,
Got it.
like,
Got it.
even me, like, I would say like only 8 to 9 out of 10, like 80 to 90% of the cards I buy that I actually get in, I send in for grading. Like I just got a card in like a few weeks ago. I'm not sending it in for grading because it has like a surface ding that's just too much. And I didn't see it. It's just hard to see. It's just part of the game. But what I would say on top of that
Mhm.
is if a card looks, this is my philosophy, if it even just like
Yeah.
looks like it could possibly grade a 10, goes in. If you have to think about it, send it in. Right? Because the math makes total sense. So like if it just has like
All
one
right.
tiny dimple, send it in.
All right.
Yeah, you don't need
All
to like
right.
no card, very few cards are gonna be like perfect where like you just want to make sure like the corners are close to perfect in the centering. But like a lot of
Hmm.
cards have slight surface problems. Like to give you an example, the card I made the most amount of money on last year was a
Yeah.
2018 Atomic Bowman Chrome Shohei Ohtani. I actually bought it as a Beckett 9 and it looked really good. Like, and it had 8.5 edges. But I was looking at the edges in the card, and it looked good. And then I got the card
Yeah.
in, and the edge was screwed up. I was like, "There's no way this card's gonna grade a 10." But I paid
Right.
$9,700 for the card, and it was worth like
Hmm.
11,000 at the time. So I was like, you know what? It's worth it for me to send it in. Let's see what happens. Even if it grades a 9, I'll make a little bit of money. And it graded a 10. And I
Yeah.
ended up making 20 something thousand on the card. So um,
Wow.
yeah. So like, if you
Okay.
think it has a chance, it goes in because the math makes sense.
Okay.
But like,
All right.
just know only if you're good, 8 out of 10 cards you buy, you'll actually send it in for grading.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So the practice makes perfect. Hey, my wife and I are going to be reaching out to you to help us with our next step. So I appreciate you and the program and your straight talk. And we're going to be talking with you about joining the program.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, the best way, just respond to like one of the text messages. I'm sure we've blown up your phone with text, so just
Yeah. Yeah.
respond to one of those. It's probably the best
All
place.
right. Will do. Thank you.
All right, thank you as well.
Take care,
Thanks for
Eric.
calling in.
Bye bye.
I like that guy. You can tell he's just excited about life. It's always nice to like get someone on the phone that's just like ton of energy instead of like, "Hey Eric, how's it going? I gotta do this. I gotta do that." Um, how's it going? Is there another caller? All right. We got another one. It's funny. I always picture people calling in, but like, because we get all these calls, we have to like call out because we have to tell people, hold on, we'll call you back.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? This is Eric. You're live.
Hey, Eric, what's going on?
What's up, man? What's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. What's up, Daniel? How may I make your day better?
Man, so I'm liquidating some of my assets to hopefully get into your program. I really enjoy your videos.
Nice.
Love the information. You know, you got me off of breaks, which was huge.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
pitfall.
yeah, it is. It's fun, but it's a pitfall. My question was, so I have some high end cards, and I sent them in based on your timeline, right? You buy football now, you send them in,
Yeah.
sell them in the off season.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
because they're higher end cards, they came in quicker. So I have them now. So my guess is, do I go ahead and liquid them, sell them, or shall I hold maybe after the draft, right? If I have some Drake Mays, I have a Caleb Williams gold vinyl out of 5 from Prism
Oh, you're sitting on
that,
some
if
you're
they,
sitting on some baller stuff.
yeah, so if they draft the right player, right, like Jaden Daniels stuff is going to go up, right, because they just traded for Debo Samuel, so he's got another asset that's going to make him look better.
Yep.
Um, so should I sell now? Should I wait till after the draft, or is this more of a June, July if I really want to maximize the
Yeah.
money from those cards?
So I'm going to pretend you're in the program and I'll give you advice that I would tell a paying member. So, okay. So newer cards. So like I'm sure you're sort of familiar. If you watch my videos, you would know this. Like, right, newer cards, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, all those guys. They start out hot, then they come down. Then they go up a little bit, right? As the season gets closer. As opposed to like to give you an example from last year, like the guys who will actually go up a substantial amount, not always, but usually, like I'm talking like 30, 40, 50%, are not the newer guys. They're the guys that no one's on right now, right? Because you always hear me say something is only an opportunity when no one else sees it as an opportunity. It's like last year, Kyler Murray doubled from this time when we're speaking right now to like July because no one was buying him. And then they ended up drafting Marvin Harrison and people got excited and blah, 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 and his stuff doubled, right? Newer guys they could, but they don't really go up that much. Like CJ Stroud from right now till the start of the season last year, he went up about 10%. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've got a couple of those guys too that I'm just
Yeah.
gonna hold on
So
to.
if
I've also been go ahead.
sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say I also bought like a couple of his like 9.5 SGCs, thinking I'm gonna send them into PSA because I know that if they come back at 10, they'll go up in value there too as
Yeah.
well.
Yep. So like if you're thinking about holding a guy, me personally, I would not hold anyone from this year. You know who the only guy I'm
Okay,
buying a little bit just to mess around with is Jordan Travis, the backup for the Jets. If you're familiar with
that's
him.
funny. I've bought several of his cards,
Yeah, because it's like a low
only because I
risk,
think he's
like
gonna have some hype. Yeah,
yeah,
12,
exactly.
18,
But
$20 a card.
yeah. So like I'm messing around with that just for fun. But like Jaden Daniels, he could, but most likely he's not going to go up a lot. But even if he did, think about this. So like you have a high end Caleb Williams card. Let's say that card's worth 10 grand, right? Pretend. And let's say I told you that card is going to go up in 3 months or 4 months to $13,000. Let's say you have that card now for 10K. You could wait 3 months or 4 months and sell it for 13,000. Mathematically speaking, if you were in my program, or you do what I say, or you follow the videos, it's actually not worth it for you to hold that card because there's something in life you probably already know called opportunity cost, where you should be able to take that $10,000 today and the next 3 to 4 months make more than $3,000 with it than how much that card of Caleb Williams would appreciate. But like those cards won't appreciate 30%, so it's not even a question. But like that money is worth more to you today by buying, grading, and reselling than holding anyone for the next few months that might go up 10, 20%. So like if the name of the game is to make money, which I'm sure it sounds like it is, it's not worth it for you to hold those cards because nothing will give you a higher return than buying a card and getting it graded as a 10.
Absolutely. I thought that's what you would say. I just wanted to
Yeah.
hear it directly from you. So I'm gonna lick with those, and then I'll be in touch.
Yeah, and just a little like I guess piece of advice you could think about for the future is so like the natural progression of sports cards, like at least this is what I've seen. So like first you want to like buy cards, get them graded, get really good at that. You can make anywhere from like I've seen like 3 grand, like 10 grand a month doing that. But at a certain point, it's hard to find that many good cards in good condition. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to make up a number. Let's say you have an extra 20 grand laying around and you've bought all the cards you could and you've bought a lot of cards to get graded. You have like hundreds of cards at PSA. Okay, what do you do? What do you do now with the extra money? Then with the extra money, that's when you start doing what I do that I don't really talk about much is hiring cards already graded, sitting on them and hopefully making 20, 30%. So like I'm a big fan of CJ Stroud right now. Like his value, like I'd buy a high-end card of his, even though I don't have any yet, for like $2,000. Buy it, and hopefully I can resell it for $3,000 just by holding it for a few months. But like that's like what you do holding cards with your extra money. Once you get good at the first part, which is buying and grading.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Love the videos, love the show. Appreciate everything you're doing for the sports card hobby and market, and Keep going, man. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Daniel. I'll see you in the program
Take
soon.
care. All right.
All right. Bye. Is there another caller, Kyle? No. Oh wow, we've been on for an hour 10. Jeez. I was excited. Because like I had this idea. I thought about this for months, getting people to call in, but we didn't know how to figure out the tech. And the last YouTube video we did popped off. Not went crazy, but for us, it did well. And it was this show. So it tells me that you guys actually want to see this stuff because I've discovered over posting thousands and thousands of videos is that me actually doing the thing, like whether it's buying and selling sports cards or helping people, it like resonates with the audience a lot more. So I think it's pretty cool. I was like before all you guys started calling in, I was answering a question that I totally forgot. Do you remember what it was? What I was talking about? I forget. It was yeah, if I forget what I was talking about, I probably answered it though. But cool. So I'll leave it off with that. If you guys want to see my most exciting purchase, just to leave you guys off, this is the card I'm most excited about, and I may have overpaid for it. But it's okay. So I bought this card of Jordan Travis. I think I paid what I pay 15 or 1600, and it's actually in really good condition. I think it can grade a 10. And like that's one of those cards where like I might lose a few hundred. I probably will if I hold it. But if that card pops and he starts like pressing like or making a bid to be a starter for the Jets, I'll sell for a lot of money. So it's like a very low risk, very high reward, which obviously we all love low risk, high reward. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm sorry, there's so many questions in the chat, and like I just simply don't have the time to answer them. I will like you see, I will prioritize questions if you call in. So call into the number below, and I will prioritize those questions. I promise, because people like actually hearing voice, and that instant feedback is just really, really good. But I do have to go. I do have to end this, unfortunately. Any other questions? Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We try to go live. If we change up the time, we'll email everybody. But almost every single Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, we go live. If you are watching this on YouTube on the replay, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.